Susan Leonardson and Andrea Peer is here as well. And this is another interview into the series that we are doing right now, diving into delivery systems and why you should focus on them. And we have an awesome, awesome guest with us. And Andrea, who do we have with us?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I shouldn't say favorites, but this interview is probably one of the ones that is the nearest and dearest to my heart and my journey. Catherine Jones Lish. She brought Susan and I together. She was the inspiration for a lot of our delivery system. Why is it that we do what we do? And so just privileged and honored to have you here today, Catherine. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yay, thanks for having us. I was just telling them, I say no to most people, but them, I can't say no to them. They're my favorites too.
Well, and Catherine, I mean, you were so integral to who we are and how we formed. I mean, we met each other in your community. First of all,
Yes.
we would never be in business together if it wasn't for you. So just so thank you for that.
Yes.
And then also, a lot of the principles that we do in our delivery system came from you. And I want to go back to one moment in particular that was really the genesis for everything for me. So of course, had this like 20-year-long career. I thought I knew what I was talking about. I have accolades, right? I have like military, PhD, blah, blah, blah. And I get into your design hacking program and you offered me a certificate. And I remember and a badge and a graduation night. And I remember feeling more pride than I had ever felt in my entire life, even despite all of those accolades. And that moment right there was the genesis of like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And it was that. And I am just so in awe. How did you have this like brilliant brain of delivery systems and celebration moments? And like, where does that come from?
Well, first of all, thank you so much. And I'm so glad. I remember you said that you were like, I invited my mom to this like graduation thing. And
Yeah.
for context, you guys, she joined. So I had a program that taught people how to make money as a funnel agency. So building funnels for other people. And when you hear it on paper, it's kind of like, okay, right? And I'll be honest, at the beginning, it was all intuitive at the end. But since I've done this for big clients, like I've been able to kind of rewire and think, why did that work? What happened? And we pushed thousands of people through this and to see what worked and moments like yours, right? Where it's like, wait, why did that matter so much? And can we, figure out what's the doctrine and truth and system behind that? And I think it comes down to two things, Andrea, because you're not the first person to say that or experience that. And so what happened, you guys, is Andrea is saying that I'm going to tell the number, right? Like, so she made $1,000. That was it. Like she made, not that's it. It's amazing, but like comparatively.
It's not equate to the level of pride that I felt.
No.
Yes.
And again, like you said, she has a doctorate degree. She has a doctorate degree. And yet, right? And I think it actually comes down to really just two things. Number one is, what do you actually want?
Mm-hmm.
What did you want when you joined that program?
I wanted to.
You didn't actually want to learn funnels. You wanted money.
Yeah.
You wanted cash in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's number one. And the second thing that I think is the most important is that you actually learn the skill to do it. Something that fell out of your control now became into your control. And I think when we look at like a doctorate degree, and I don't actually know what yours is in, but I think if you look at any degree, right? Like I finished with a degree, and a degree didn't actually get me what I wanted. Not guaranteed. And it actually didn't even give me the skill set to get what I wanted. And I think if you look at if most degrees, right? And most other online courses, certification programs, you end with a piece of paper. And you're like, respectfully, I didn't want a piece of paper. And this piece of paper doesn't actually get me to the end result of what I want. Yeah. Therefore, I'm actually leaving this program or this schooling experience or whatever less confident in my ability to get what I want. Because not only did I just spend X amount of money and X amount of time to not get it, I feel like the skills that I paid time and money to learn aren't actually the avenue for getting me there. So I think when you're looking to build a program that really wins, right? One of the doctrine, and we'll talk about like, how do you craft it for marketing and all these different things, but like the most important thing you got to figure out is why in the world would anybody join this program if they did? And so we get so caught up in that because I think as people who are sellers of information, we fall in love with our craft. Right. And so you're like, oh my gosh, well, if you sell a gardening course, right? They're like, they want to learn gardening. That's why. And you're like, do they? Do they want to learn gardening? Or can their family not afford groceries and they want food? Like, and I don't know what the answer is, right? But like, they want gardening. They want graphic design skills. It's like, no, they don't. Like, they actually don't. Like, they're hobbyists that really do. But like the percentage of hobbyists versus result seekers, it's just like astronomically just out, just 99 to 1%,
Yeah.
And so I think if you start and if we look at you, like, why did you have that reaction? It wasn't the $1,000 because $1,000 doesn't make sense, right? You'd be like, oh my gosh, maybe if you give me $1 million in cash, I'd be like, woohoo, right? But what happened is the euphoria came from a weight lifted in the sense that what I wanted actually came and I know how to replicate it. And it was like, it's like in my, and maybe you can tell me, but in my experience, it goes from like, oh, I hope I can do this to, oh, I actually can. I actually have the skill set to play the game. So I don't know if that was your experience, but in kind of rewiring it and helping other people to play the same, that's the first thing that so many people get wrong when they sell information or even services, which is, what do the people actually want? It's like, they don't actually want a funnel. They don't actually want Facebook ads. They don't actually want gardening. They don't actually want a workout plan. And sometimes they don't even want to lose 20 pounds. Like, that seems like the end result. Sometimes they don't even want that. It's like, what do they want? And then if you can harness all of your education toward not only getting them that, but helping them feel self-sufficient and replicating it, then you win the game.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's so wise. It's so spot on. I think in alignment with that want, what I observed too, and especially after like studying it more of like, why did this happen? That I think sometimes you've actually said this, Catherine, and it also really is like the hardest question in the entire world is, what do you want?
Brutal.
It's the hardest question in the entire world. So I think that the second thing that I saw you do is you paired identity as a almost bridge definition of that want. So the very first thing that you had us do, and I'm going to go all the way back to those early beginnings, was you had us make a choice. I remember it so distinctly. And you gave us this choice of, do you want this path or this path? And it was an immediate choice. And I think that also helped to plant or to solidify the articulation of the want. And where did that come from? How did you know to do that?
Intuition. Again, I wish I was like smart enough to know at the moment. I just felt like the right thing. But again, in creating a lot of different programs, what she's talking about, the first time everyone do this, steal this idea. I'll give you permission. Anytime you do any program, the very first thing anybody should do inside your program is sign a contract that they're going to go all in. And the verbiage is this: it's either play or don't play. Like, you don't serve yourself and you don't serve me, you're dead weight if you don't play. Like, literally ask for your refund. I would prefer that you were not inside of my program. If you're going to play, then you need to sign this contract that says you're going to do everything I tell you to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve me to play small. And what happens when you do that is, I mean, I think of like literally one refund of the thousands of people that came through this. I was like, you're right. I don't actually want to do this. You're like, love it. Great. But what happens is it lights this fire under people's butts, and people who are course junkies or have paid money before, whether it's on school or a different program or anything, right? They're like, oh, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to take this seriously. It's not like, oh, is this something that's going to end up in my email? I never do it again. It's like, I mean this, because like you said, it becomes a matter of identity. Like, do you do what you say you're going to do, or do you not? Because if you're not, that's actually just fine, but get out of here. You don't belong. You're not one of us. But you can be a part of it. And so the reason that works is, like you said, identity. And it forces Jen Sincero in her book, I'm a Bad A. Have you heard that? She calls it it forces the almighty decision. That's what she calls it, the almighty decision, where it's like, are you playing or are you not playing? And like, it actually doesn't matter whether you choose yes or no, but just choose. And it's crazy to think that you'd have to do that after somebody's paid you money. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's like they paid money, and then sometimes that's when the fear sets in. So if you be like, you're in, and put it somewhere so you can see it. So I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing is that, like, if you can't get people started in your program almost immediately, like if the first chunk feels too hard, you're dead. Like, it has to be such like a stupidly simple task that it's like, if somebody looking at you like, you can't figure that out, you'd be like, you know what, you're right, I'm dumb, I can figure that out, So like, it has to be something so bite-sized, like just the quickest win, and something like print out a certificate and go is awesome. And it also is the appropriate level of potential resistance. Some people are like, I don't have a printer, I can't figure this out. And you're like, okay, sweetie, Susan, Andrea, we can do this, like, how are we going to overcome this resistance? And it's like, it gives them a baby step to practice for when they hit resistance. Like, they have the skills enough to know to be like, oh, I can do a screenshot, or I can go buy ink for my printer, or I don't even need to. I can just, post a picture of myself on my phone. Like they can figure it out. So anyway, so yeah, I do think like what's the end result, and then starting with that micro quick win tied with identity, I think is another great thing in and actually creating people that can get to the end of your course and actually achieve the results.
Yes, that was the other major thing that just in watching what you did, we have this picture that we reference a lot that has these two ladders. And on one side, there's this ladder with all these tiny baby rungs. And then on the other side, it has a ladder that has maybe like 6 big rungs. And there's a poor little tiny human like trying to reach up to the first rung. And I
Yes.
think the other thing that I observed in what you did is you made not just that first step super actionable, but you were so compassionate to the emotional journey of how hard this might be to the beginner. And I felt like every single step in that program was doable. Was
Well,
like,
because think about
yeah,
when you learn any new skill, it doesn't matter if it's like like right now we're talking about digital marketing, right? But like digital marketing, if you're learning to be a parent, if you're trying to learn how to go on a run, if you're trying to start a new recipe, like it's unfortunate, but I think for a majority of humans, right? Like the self-talk that comes in is, I can't do this. This is too hard. I look like an idiot. I'm going to suck at this. People are going to make fun of me. Nobody's going to love me anymore. What if I succeed? What if I like, we're just
yeah,
like a flurry of everything.
yeah,
And I just like feel this deeply. I mean, you guys know this, like I ended up in the hospital with an ulcer, like when I
yeah,
started my online journey, because it was just like, I was so stressed. Like I
yeah,
spiraled, out of control.
yeah,
And what you do, like what Andrew's talking about is we started about the end, right? What's the results you want to get people? And then we kind of skip forward to the beginning, which is that identity, make them sign a contract. And so what happens in the middle is what you want to do is create, like you literally say, okay, from start to end, what needs to happen for them to get that, for us, right? That first $1,000. And
yeah.
you break it into micro pieces. I call them challenges. You win a mini badge, you gamify, right? You break it into micro challenges, so micro that they can, despite their fear, say, I can do this, right? Like
Mm,
I like even if my fear is so loud, there's like it's nothing more than following the directions.
mhm,
Right? It's like I am petrified to make chocolate chip cookies. But if I just read the list, I know that I can have chocolate chip cookies by the end, right? Like
yeah,
it's like that's how it's like it needs to be as simple as like making a recipe. And so if you can do that and break it into micro challenges that allow for them to still succeed despite fear and despite the noise in their head, that's when you're going to be able to win, because the people that are petrified are going to win, and the people that aren't petrified, they're going to just scream through it. Like they're
right.
just going to go fast,
Yeah.
And so that becomes the name of the game. And it's really interesting, like talking about this middle path where it's like, oh, we make all these steps easy. We get it so wrong as marketers or business owners or gurus, right? Where again, we fall so in love with our craft that we think everybody else is going to be in love with our craft as well. And
Mhm,
so we think that the value comes in additional information because we love additional information, but the value is not in that. You're actually screwing your people over if you do that. The value
yeah,
is how quickly from the second they consume my coaching program, whatever it is, service, course, whatever, how quickly can I get them from zero to result? And
mhm,
so the name of the game has to be, how much fat can I strip to get there? And that, interestingly enough, in working with people is like really hard for their ego, because they're like, no, but I have this extra thing, or I know a lot about this. I'm like, nobody cares if you know about that.
yeah,
Like you're a detraction. And so like we talked about this. So the program that you were in, I actually sold it to Russell Brunson.
yeah,
And then he hired me to basically, like, he had a certification program for funnel builders. I had one as well. Long story short, my people are getting results a lot faster than his people were. So he's like, can you combine them and just make it better? That was like literally all he's had. And I was like, great, I'll see you in a month and a half. So I fly to Boise and I like present him the whole thing. But one of the things that I did is first question I asked was, what's the result that they want? It's cash in pocket, right? And so what I did is I audited the first program and I said, okay, how many hours of material do people need to go through before they get the result that they wanted or they purchased? And they had something like 368 hours of material that they needed to watch, not just like activities to do, like watch before they were even instructed to try and go make money? And the reality is that like Russell's not an idiot. Russell's
yeah,
just in love with his craft.
yeah,
And he assumed that everybody else would want to be in love with his craft, and he assumed that people would see the money opportunity and capitalize it. Like he just like, most gurus are unicorns.
yeah,
Most gurus aren't normal people.
mhm,
And so you have to you can't let them. So what we did is we took that from 373 hours to sub 20. And we
Wow.
literally can map out and say like, okay, so we have this whole thing like money by the weekend, and it's because people, and 20 is max, right? And so like you can be like, no, like literally just plan out the 5 to 20 hours. It's like,
Yeah.
it's Thursday, so can you find 5 hours? Can you find the 20 hours? Like, can you do it? You know? And so you can play from there. And so that was like one of the big thing I remember like showing Russell, and he literally was just like, oh my gosh, like he was just like, oh my, and he was like, I'm so embarrassed. And I was like, and you don't need to be embarrassed. Like, he loves it. He loves it. But he had a program that was microscopically successful compared to what it is now, because he was trying to teach people to be hobbyists or passionistas, right? Instead of like actually result seekers. So one of the exercises that I like to do is to think like, okay, what's the result? And here's the exercises. You're locked in the room with a brand new person. You can't eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, or leave, or anything until they get the result. What do you cut? What do you have them to? And you're like,
great exercise.
At that point, like, you're like, oh, let me tell you the psychology or the background of, stencil making. It's like, nobody cares.
Yeah.
No one cares, Karen. Like, sorry. It's like, I gotta go potty. I need to go to the bathroom. I'm starving. My kid's crying. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't. And when you do it through that, like that level of just like aggressive, relentless, just scraping the fat, that's when you win. And anyway, so it is just like a really, really interesting like game that I think that, again, like, I don't think it's out of ill intent. I think it's out of misidentifying people to model. They're like, oh, well, that person's big, so I should do what they do. And it's like, no. And that kind of this almost bad habit of like throwing everything we could possibly think of into a single course, I think has existed. I think that's number one. I think number two, the reason why it happens is because, like Russell, they're a hobbyist. They love it. They're passionate. And number three is, unlike Russell, I think is a great guru. I think the third one is because it masks somebody who's posing as a guru, but they shouldn't be. Because if a person can't get you out of the room, they're not a guru. But if they like wave their hands, flower, look at all these bonuses, look at all these spreadsheets, blah, 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 like, you can get deceived a little bit that they are one. But if they can't get you to a result, they're not someone you should give money to. And if they can't prove that, I just think they're just not an educator that I would give money to.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think there's a fourth one, and I'm curious about your opinion on this. So, because Susan and I have been trying all these different angles, right? Of like talking retention, talking lifetime value, talking blah, blah, blah. And it seems to fall on deaf ears. And my theory is that a lot of the gurus, and and you would know this better than anyone, a lot of the gurus, they're really good at acquisition and sales. But when it comes to delivery systems and the nurture, or the ability to hold space, or the ability to hold people accountable, or the ability to actually dive into how do I get them to move, is a very difficult space. And they just don't believe that it's possible to set up systems to help people move, because they're high achieving and self-directed, and they think the world is. And so I think it's like they think it's an unsolvable problem. And so I'm curious your thought on that. If you merit, not merit.
Well, here's my experience with clients in terms of like doing this for them. Is exactly what they said. They think it's two separate problems: sales and fulfillment. It's the same problem.
It's the same problem.
How much money do you want to make, and how much money do you want to keep? And at the end of the day, you marry those two, and it's just, how much money do you want? Like, that's it. And I think if we look like, right, like we're just coming off the tail end of selling this new program with Russell. We did something called the One Comma Club Challenge. And we finally had the idea to be like, okay, like, we know this program works. Let's just actually, like, instead of like trying to do a webinar, let's just like prove it to them. So the whole basis was, let's help people make $1,000 in 5 days. And if we can help them make $1,000 in 5 days, they're going to join our program because they'll see what's possible for them, right? And so I think, and when you do that, like, if you go back, like, everybody, literally, that challenge was awesome. It was like one of the most successful campaigns that company has ever done. I'll tell you that, right? In terms of conversions. And so, but why was it successful? Because by the end of day one, or by the morning of day two, people had a lead. By the morning of day three, people had made a sale. By the morning of day four, the only thing that was left to do was to convince everybody who was too afraid to do what we told them on day one to do, to go do it. Because there was literally proof. I just made the sale. I got a new client. What do we do? How do I accept money? I just made $1,000. Like, where do I sign up for my award? Right. So by day four, by morning of day four, the only thing we had to do on day 4 and 5 was just go back and break any limiting belief, not in terms of buying the program, but in terms of just post what we told you to post, right? And like go do that. And so the entire thing was structured around the results that we could get people. And so often, like, I think we think sales is like hand wavy. It's not. Like, just prove that you can do it, and then it sells. Like, and so one of the things that we do too that was really successful with my CF Design School program is if you structure your program so that it's results based, then you can use all that, and you should use that as your front end marketing. Like, that is your marketing, that is your sales presentation. And like, as case in point, right? Like, what I would do before, and what we did again with this One Common Club challenge, is you do your challenge, do your webinar, get people into the program. And then 2 weeks later, what we do is we go back, we go to all the registrants and we say, hey, in case you didn't join and you didn't believe us or thought it was too good to be true, we're hopping on tomorrow to show you what results people have gotten in just 2 weeks time.
Yeah.
And so all that presentation is it wasn't a highlight reel. Let us just literally show you in 2 weeks time what people were able to do. And the sales that we've gotten from that are just like, it was lost money. But we didn't have to do anything extra because they just did the program. We just took screenshots of everything that they posted, right? And it was just like so fun. So I think the reason why, like, talking about retention or things like that, it's just like not very sexy, right? But if you're like, oh, we can turn your 6-figure launch into a 7-figure launch, and it actually starts in the back, not the front. It's like, oh, okay. Like, who cares what the method is? Who cares if the method is switch your program so you can use the results in your marketing material? Like, who cares, right? Like, that's what business owners want. They want more money. But when they hear about retention, or I can't even remember the other words that you said, right? It feels hard. It feels like, oh, I got to put people through like failed payment process systems and it feels like, it's like, it's not like the euphoric, sexy money where you're like, I just had a huge launch, right? Like, making money doesn't feel as good as like saving money on taxes does, even if it's more money on taxes. You know what I mean? It's just like, it doesn't feel fun. It feels like somebody was taking my money and they should have given it to me. And well, it's like what retention feels like, like they should have paid. Like how dare they have their credit card drop? Like, it feels like that shouldn't be my problem, But if you show them that it's like one and the same problem, it's like, oh, the reason you're having a hard time selling your program is because your program's bad. It's not because your marketing's bad. It's because your program's bad, right? And and that's like a pretty blunt way to say that. And I think depending on your relationship with the client, I mean, I've gotten to a point where I've said that point blank to them, like, the reason you can't sell this is because it's a bad thing to sell. Like, and they'll fight you on it, and you'll be like, great. How many people have successfully gone through your program? Well, I don't know. Do you know their names? No. Then no. Like, get off the internet or fix your program, right? So that's what I think is like a really interesting thing. And, I think like we learned like the info business is going to explode by however many billions, and it's only going to get more and more because, traditional education is like less valued and all these things. Great. So like your ability to cut through the noise actually is dependent on not your sales ability, I don't think anymore. It's on it's on your ability to deliver. Because people have been burned too many times, and so like people just like don't believe you. They're just like, okay, you say this. It's like, no, like, not only do I need proof that this has worked for other people, I need real-time proof. So I need proof that this has worked before. I need proof that it's working currently as I'm watching you, and I need proof that it was working since I've seen you. And when you structure your program from result to micro challenges, you have it. You have the stuff to go back and say, look at this. This is my sales written. Like, you think this wasn't happening? This is what happened 2 days ago. In fact, let me get them on a call. Let's bring them on. Tell me about your experience. Kathy, how was it? And all of a sudden they're like, dang, Catherine's not lying. And like one of the things we said in the last program was we came on 2 weeks later, and we just showed people that had made money since we'd seen them on the challenge. And one of the things we asked the group of, the hundreds of people that were there was, how many of you have joined a course before, right? Or program, how many, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever. And I said, how many of them have ever invited you back to see the results that people have gotten from the thing they just sold you from? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So people are like, oh my gosh, it was like one of the most successful campaigns. And you're like, well, yeah, it was. And like, yes, the marketing was amazing, but the marketing couldn't have existed if the program wasn't structured in the way that it was. So we can just pull from it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's what I think. And so, I feel like I kind of have like a snarky tone right now. I need to like dial back, but I think I do have a little bit of a snarky tone just because I'm like, you guys, like, it feels so dishonest to me, or like out of integrity to sell something that you're like, does it get results? And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you're like, maybe. And you're like, what are their names? Who did it? You know? So I think that's part of, and I don't know. I think the frustration too comes from someone who is an online educator who, you know, I kind of have to undo everybody's trauma. And gratefully, like, I do before they'll buy from me, you know?
Yeah.
And so gratefully, like, just showing the results helps to do that. But I just wish that more people could win. And, you know, again, like talking about the people who've done it before, most of them I don't think are bad people. I just think they either don't know better or they're passionate. You know, like I don't think a lot of, I think that third category talked about where it's like people that are posing to be gurus that shouldn't. Like, I actually don't think that's the majority. I think people are well intentioned and they just have no idea what the heck they're doing. But you know, they're just
I think
accidentally.
I think it's a lot.
people.
Yeah. So two things. So you hit the nail on the head. We have this saying that we've been using. So it's not even the that they don't care that they don't even have any business teaching the thing that they just sold them, like the really fake ones. But we actually say that if you are making a promise on the sales page, it is like your moral obligation to actually create an experience in the delivery to facilitate actually getting that result. And then the second thing, I think I may have forgotten, but what did you just say?
I don't know, but I do agree with that. But but like same thing, right? Like in terms of like convincing people to do that, it's not a very sexy thing. It's like, you need to follow the rules. You need to stop being a terrible person. Like nobody wants to hear that, right? Like, what do they want to hear? They want to hear, oh my gosh, if we just do 2 or 3 tweaks, you can 2x, 3x, 4x what you can make on the front end. And but it is just like, it is just really interesting that again, I think that gurus often are more abnormal than not, in the sense that they're go-getters, you know, they want to try, they want to do, and so they can fill in the blanks. Where it's like, oh, if I did have that like 6-rung ladder instead of that 100-rung ladder, like they can kind of figure it out. And you just have to make any education material you have, especially if it's geared, you know, like if you're in like a high-end coaching program, it's like, cool, the 6 rungs are awesome because you need to customize and adapt and whatever. You still should have 6 rungs, right? But like, if you are selling anything that is like specific result based, you know what I mean? Like you just have to remember that you're not normal. And you're not normal, and your brain can fill in gaps, and maybe other people's brains can fill in gaps too, but they're terrified. So their brains, you know, go offline and they get afraid and whatever. So
that was the second
it's just
thing.
a different game. Yeah,
that was the second thing I was going to say, Catherine, is so you know the bell curve that's like used all over the place, right? So obviously entrepreneurs and online entrepreneurs and Russell Brunson online entrepreneurs are like the not even the 1% crazy, but like the 0.5% crazy. And so we're like really high overachievers. And if you're someone that's setting out to put a program together, you're like, I'm going to go sell. Not only am I an entrepreneur, but I'm going to go sell my knowledge. I'm going to package it up and go sell it to somebody and like actually take the responsibility of teaching them that skill set. They're definitely high achievers. Yeah. And what we've been seeing, and tell me if you think that this holds true from your observation, what we see is like they're designing those programs for other people like themselves. Because we always hear that like, oh, well, what were the first steps that you went through to learn that skill? Just like teach them how you learned that skill. It's like, yeah, but you probably learned it differently because you're a high achiever. And also you're very resourceful and you're going to go figure it out. You're going to go find the hard stuff. And the goal is I did all the hard work and now I'm teaching you so you don't have to go through the hard work. But those programs are still mostly designed for, I'm just going to teach it this way. That's how I learned. And they forget about the people that are not like them. Yeah. There are average achievers out there that are trying to learn this skill set. And I think that's what people see is they're like, well, I'm getting like 3% of the people that buy my thing, the result. It's like, yeah, but those are the people that think like you and are the high achievers. What about the rest of them that bought your thing?
And the reality is that like most people don't care because you're like, well, the rest of them don't make me money.
Yeah.
And if they were to make me money, like the traditional way is like, oh, I need to build a higher end program that I can like an upsell to this. It's just like too much work, right? But like if you can directly tie the results to their front end marketing or just to be like, practice running an ad of a, like user generated whatever video of someone who says, I joined this program 2 weeks ago and let me tell you what happened. Run that ad and tell me like what your retargeting costs look like. And I think in that same vein too, like so often we think that restructuring programs sounds hard or whatever. It's like, oh my gosh, if you do the exercise of like you're in the room and you can't do anything until you leave, how much fewer materials do you make? How much fewer videos do you make? How much simpler do you talk? Like it is actually like the hard work brain happens on the front end where you just gotta let go of your ego and kind of slash all the stuff that actually you might have spent a lot of time on is really important to you. And it might require, I mean, like when I've gone into certain programs and I'm like, I'm literally not trying to like kill anybody's job, but you have 10 coaches in here and you need one administrator. Like I'm not even like, and I'm not even trying to kill people's jobs, but like what are you doing? And so anyway, so I think that's like a really important thing to consider as well. So
yeah. Well said. Oh my gosh.
So many good insights.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Well, we want to honor your time and we're just so grateful to you,
I hear
Catherine.
my cute kid crying out there.
I know. Yeah. So
Not
cute.
easy, guys. Not easy. Not easy to be little. And you know what? At the end of the day, sometimes it's not easy to be big.
No.
Sometimes being human, it's so fun, but it's not easy sometimes.
Exactly. Yeah. So true. So, okay. So we will absolutely let you go, but thank you so much, Catherine. Just
Oh my
for
gosh, you're
giving your time
welcome.
today and just helping both of us in our journey, and just all of your wisdom and insight is just, it's incredible, and couldn't do it without you. So thank you so much.
I'm so excited for you guys. You're the best. Thanks for having me on.
Okay.
Thanks,
Super quick before we go.
Oh.
If they want to follow you, if they need your thing, if they want to like be in your world, where do they go?
Catherine Jones Lish. Catherine Jones Lish on Instagram.
Okay.
Instagram.
Amazing.
Come hang out with me.
Amazing.
See
Thanks,
pictures of her
Catherine.
beautiful babies.
Yes.
Babies. Yeah, it's great. Babies, business, all the things.
Love it. Love
Awesome.
it.
Thank you
Amazing.
for
Okay.
being with us.
Thanks, Catherine.